VIVO V7 and the V7 Plus are two new phones from Vivo. Both of these phones have almost identical specifications, the same camera optics, the same operating system and the same processor. So I think the best way to compare both of these devices is to tell you what the differences are, so you can make a decision about which one is more comfortable for you. The phones look identical. They're made of metal and they feel really good in the hand. As the name suggests, the V7 Plus is slightly taller. Although it's not much, it makes a big difference in handling. The normal V7 is more compact, and generally I find it way more easier to hold. Both of these come in black and white colors, and usually I prefer black, but I don't know why for this phone I prefer the white color. It really shows off the bezel-less display, and the black and white contrast makes it look very appealing. The only drawback in the build quality is that the bottom side is made of plastic, which I don't really like. I think it should have been metal all the way, but hey, it's a small nitpick. Both of these phones feel premium and they're compact because of the bezel-less body, but I prefer the normal V7. It's more compact, the display is still pretty big, and I just like the color more on the V7 instead of the V7 Plus. Both of these phones have a Snapdragon 450 with 4GB of RAM. However, the difference is that the V7 Plus comes with 64GB of storage, while the normal V7 comes with 32GB of storage. And both have the option of expanding through an SD card. As far as real world performance goes, the performance is alright. Since it has a relatively low end processor, you have to expect some lag. For the most part, it's okay, but scrolling lags some time, and extensive apps take a bit more time than usual to open. Other than that, the performance is good. Games run very well without issues, and in my day-to-day usage, there weren't many problems. One thing that took a long time for me to get used to is the skin. It's called FunTouch OS and it's heavily based off iOS. I'm not much of an iOS person, I just don't like how it works and it's too restrictive. And since this OS is very much like the iOS, the same problems have carried over to these phones. When you turn on the developer options, the status bar starts flashing to remind you to turn it off. It's these little pet peeves that I have that make me dislike the skin. Thankfully they still allow changing the launcher. However, I would still prefer stock Android or a different skin over FunTouch OS. And if you like iOS and if you wanna have a similar experience to that on Android, you will like it. But the skin is really not for me. The camera is a huge marketing aspect of this phone. Even on the front of the box it says 24 megapixels, and most of the commercials you will see them talking about selfies. When it comes to the front camera, they aren't wrong. The front cameras on these phones are really good. You get the same camera on both of these. The same optics, the same technology, there's no difference. I like that you don't have to pay more to get a better camera. Well, as I said, the front camera is great. I mean, you can send the photos taken from the front camera as your Insta photo. But what about the back camera? Well, if you have good lighting, like if you are outside, it will take great photos. But in moderate to low light, you can start to see some noise. And the colors look a bit unsaturated. For a mid-range phone, the back camera is alright, but the front camera is really good. In the end, I don't think you will be disappointed with the back camera. It's not bad, but I think the demographic they are going for is the people who usually use the front camera. And if you are in the demographic, you won't be disappointed. I really like that both of these phones have a bezel-less display. The top, the bottom and the side bezels are really tiny, especially for someone like me who doesn't want to spend a lot of money on a Note 8 or an S8. This is a great alternative for the mid-range market. The display on the V7 Plus is almost 6 inches and the display on the normal V7 is 5.7 inches. Both of them are 720p HD panels. I really wish that they went with 1080p resolution. Most phones these days come with at least a 1080p display, but I can understand they wanted to increase the battery life, and honestly I don't mind the resolution on the normal V7. The display on the normal V7 is really good. However, I didn't like the display on the V7 Plus as much as the V7. It might be because it's 720p, but I just found it to be lesser in quality. There's more saturation and vibrance in the normal V7, and that makes a huge difference. The display on the V7 Plus isn't too bad. However, it's slightly washed out, and I don't think it's much of a problem for casual people. But I care about the displays too much, and for me, the V7 is the phone with a better display. There are many awesome features in these phones. I really love the face unlock feature. You don't even have to look at the phone for it to work. It's really awesome. I also like that you can insert 2 SIM cards and a memory card. And I already raved about the front camera. The battery on these phones is the best battery life I've seen on any bezel-less phone. Because of the 720p display, the phone doesn't consume much battery. It's very efficient. The normal V7 clocks in at 2 days and I charge either at the night of the second day or in the day of the third day. The V7 Plus has a slightly bigger battery, which in my experience lasted 4 to 5 more hours than the V7. The standby time is also really good. it barely drops a charge when it's idle. There were some days where I was working on different devices and the V7 Plus was on standby. And in all those days the phone kept on running. It didn't run out of battery. I was surprised and I'm super impressed by the battery life of these phones. All this stuff is great and I believe that these phones are overall a great package, but I think they should be slightly cheaper and should have a USB Type-C port. But which of these phones is better? For me personally, 7 out of 10 times when I needed a phone, I went with the normal V7. I generally liked using it more. It has most of the features from the V7 Plus and is more compact. And the display is better. However, if you want a bigger display and more storage, then you should go with the V7 Plus. But if you are like me, go with the normal V7.